Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave with another early morning wrap-up, of which new names are definitely welcome for that. As Philson suggested, that one needs to be redone. Anyways, with that said, I would like to wish you a happy and healthy start to this nice little thirsty Thursday over here from a very cold but also sunny Helsinki, Finland. And with that said, let's put the focus now on the Krown application, which we found at app.krowngene.net. It's 100% free. The link's in the description below. And what do we see? We do see Bitcoin dominance continues. It fucking continues to the downside right there. So altcoin Bitcoin's pairings having a really phenomenal time over the last few weeks here. And with that said, as long as Bitcoin does not break the higher term time frame range, I imagine that trend will continue, and it really is time to be paying attention to alts, and has been for quite some time now. On top of that, fear and greed index for Bitcoin taking the biggest leg down that we've seen in a very long time now. Actually, we see it go all the way from about a mid 70 read now to a 65. Technically speaking, still greedy or in greedy territory, if you will. But with that in mind, I do believe that is still indicative that market may be a little bit more on the frothy side, especially with Bitcoin kind of taking a bit of a breather right here. Anyways, to put that into context, we do see that the open interest did come down a little bit from yesterday to today. We now have a very obvious range, right? 10 billion to the downside versus about 13.5 billion to the upside. And what does that mean? It means that when we do see a break of this range, we really want to see a shoot up of open interest to really confirm the next major move. In this case, with Bitcoin being a lot closer to breaking to the downside, this is rather concerning, because if we do see the next leg down plus open interest shooting up, I really would be looking for one of those greater pullbacks. And when I say greater pullbacks, I mean $45,000 becomes a legitimate target, and potentially even $39,000 on the table as well, as this market kind of washed itself out. Now, with that said, I always want to be on the record as saying I don't necessarily think that the macro cycle is over just yet. I do think that Bitcoin is still likely to make new highs this year. However, with that in mind, is right now the exact time? I'm not so sure about that. Right now is the time to be looking at altcoins, if anything. What else do we see? Top 10 best coins, top 10 worst coins. Goddamn, PundyX is old right there. Obviously, this is a bad read for the past few days here. But all the other altcoins on the top 10 list looking pretty damn good, with major double-digit gains once again for Digibyte all the way down to Reserve Rights. Jesus, man. Uniswap, Polygon, Maker, Compound, Solana all having themselves a day. Solana really being a big winner. And Ethereum now getting onto the winners list too, which is rather nice, as I haven't seen them there for a long time now. And on the top 10 worst coins, no, Doggy Coin down. Life comes at you fast, my Zoomer friends. Yeah, Doggy Coin not going to be going to the moon for all of eternity. Of course, what goes up must come down, and quite literally a token that is designed to be useless. Well, you might put that in a pump and dump category. Anyways, we might take a quick look at that today, but I do want to keep this video under 20 minutes. If I can do that, achievement unlocked, and I'll feel very proud about myself. And perhaps you won't give a fuck. Anyways, market data tab. Is there anything in here that we want to go over? Funny rate has gone for the full reversal. No, the full reset. We do see FTX actually getting up there once again. This one's been flippy floppy. This one was actually major negative yesterday, respectively speaking, and all the exchanges kind of rearing their heads around that region as well. So we're not really seeing anything too damning here. If this were a major pivot that Bitcoin's kind of resting on, we would expect to see, with the bias that Bitcoin's going to break to the downside, what we'd expect to see is actually the funny rate start to creep up here again. But we actually don't see that right now. We don't really have any major obvious things staring us in the eyes as far as these charts go. We do still see that the futures premium over spot price action continues to slightly dissipate over time, but still rather exaggerated right there, to be fair. Anyways, anything else that I want to be putting some eyes on? Yes. Okay, so open interest chart right here. You can see that we have been putting in a series of higher lows ever since really, September, October region of 2020. Now, with that said, you can see that it's quite literally in the midst of perhaps putting in a higher low right here. But with that said, it also has the opposite effect on the other side as well, as we do see that if this starts to, well, actually take out the current low, then, well, we actually do have a bit of a change of behavior on this as well. And that would be likely the next major washout within this market. In this case, very likely to the downside. Anyways, with that in mind, I think it's time to go into the actual charts themselves. We'll start off with Ethereum today, because I think Ethereum is, it's got more smiles on it right now. And looking at Ethereum right here, we did hit our $2,500 target, or no, we did not hit our $2,500 target from yesterday, but we did say yesterday, very likely a short-term move to the downside to test the 21 and 55 exponential average cross right here, that 2250-ish region. That condition was met, and well, as long as you have a response like that, we did say that 2500 or around 2500 would be the target. We've almost got there right now. 2477.45 on Finex, it looks like, or sorry, this is on BitMexico. But this does still look like it's actually gearing up for another move to the upside. This is looking pretty damn good right here, at least from what I can see. We do see that the daily TSI has gotten once again into the bullish buy zone, and while we don't necessarily have a cross to fully and further confirm that, I do still like that as a general momentum oscillator behavior. If we go over here to our secondary charts, I do want to see what this one's printing right now, as we do see the daily. So yes, that's what I was looking for over here as my fucking as my stutter comes into visual view. But looking at the daily right here, we do see that it's having a little bit of a drama right around the edge of the bullish control zone, a very common area for it to pick up a few bids, as a lot of bots and average kind of playing off of something like this right here, closing positions that they probably created from over here, which was actually your current high of 2500 in fact. Anyways, with that said, what I'm looking for next on Ethereum to really confirm this next major melt to the upside, and when I say next major melt to the upside, I mean a retest of the highs at about 2550 and very likely continuation. I don't really see any real reason why this would stop there. I mean, this is just a pretty straight and narrow uptrend right here. But I'd still be having a target somewhere around about 2800-ish region, maybe even as far as $3,000 on a spike. But ultimately, I do have major eyes right around 2800-ish region. And what I'd be looking for right here is actually all in this chart. This chart's actually summarizing it incredibly well. We got daily MACD cross to the upside pretty much in place. This will inevitably happen if with any sort of a daily total closure above 24.39, which it is trading about $5 over right now. Of course, there's a lot of hours left in the day to go, but for right now, looking pretty damn good. On top of that, DMI ADX has a potential signal for the DMI Plus to get full-on dominancy alongside the ADX strengthening. I do like that, especially if that's accompanied by the MACD signal, which they naturally will. And then, of course, daily Stokes will very likely cross the upside with any sort of a closure here or higher, and especially above 2,500, obviously. So with all of that said, if those conditions are met and you see all these follow through on the daily total closure, I would be looking for, again, a short-term move back up to the current all-time high 2550 and very likely continuation all the way to about 2800 over the next, I don't know, week or a few days, or probably the next hour. No, just kidding, but that has become a bit of a meme. Anyways, let's see. Okay, if we go back down over here, I do want to come up with a few ranges. Obviously, there needs to be some points of potential contention within this and some resolution targets on the other side. So what would that look like? Well, if you're looking at a 4-hour right here, pretty damn simple. We do have 4-hour higher low structure coming in around 2360-ish region. Also this last little prior high, local high right here, and that is going to be actually around the 21 in the next couple of ticks here on the 4-hour, which does provide some good confluence, and that does suggest that if Bitcoin, or sorry, not Bitcoin, but if Ethereum does break below this 2340 pivot right here, I would be looking for, I would actually be looking for it to come all the way back down into range on the higher term timeframes, which is down around about 2100 in line with the 4-hour 200 exponential average right here. And that is a little bit concerning that that would actually line up with the Bitcoin breakdown right now too. So I am a little bit on edge as far as this one goes, but if I'm just looking at Ethereum, I actually would just be straight up bullish on Ethereum. Ethereum is not really showing any major issues. We are still seeing that hidden bullish divergence from yesterday that we identified play out on both the 12-hour and the daily. By the way, daily RSI getting back in the bullish control zone here, playing out that hidden bullish divergence. You know, this is typically a signal that I look for in order to produce, well, in this case, new all-time highs. You're kind of, already around your pro all-time highs. So I do like this setup right here, and Ethereum still looks more or less good to myself. Looking at the buy daily, same shit as far as 2-day RSI goes. I'm sure someone's going to call out bearish divergence right there. I think that one's already played out. You can very easily make the argument for it. Target was met, yep, right around 2025 off of the 2500 tick right there. So fair enough. And what about the 3-day? Same thing here too. In fact, the 3-day looks even stronger to me, especially on yesterday's closure. So Ethereum, if it does want to, if it does want to lead this market a little bit, I would actually be keeping a keen eye on it right now. However, Bitcoin is a little bit more shaky, if you will. But before we get into Bitcoin, let's actually look at Ethereum Bitcoin pairing. And what did we identify yesterday? We identified yesterday that this one's extremely likely to break the weekly trend, and I think it's pretty much there already. Not only that, but we're about to get a golden cross on the weekly as the weekly does take out the prior high Also the 200 simple moving average plus weekly TSI turning up in the bullish buy zone, and that is alongside of weekly RSI getting the bullish control zone for the first time in a long time as well, after a very constructive read going all the way back, Jesus Christ, yeah, for the last few years, in fact. So this is going to, or very, very likely to be, I shouldn't say going to be, but extremely likely to be a major move right here. And I really would not be surprised to see a 6 million Satoshi target get hit. And realistically, do I think that things would stop there? I mean, maybe short term, yes, but long term, I would not be surprised to see 8.5 million, maybe even more than that over time. This is looking really, really good here. For all things considered, especially with Bitcoin dominance continuing to downtrend, if you will. Anyways, I also want to check out traditional markets here too. We'll actually do Bitcoin last today, just because it's only bullish things today, right? Except for Bitcoin. Anyways, over here, let's go check out Nasdaq. Nasdaq putting in yet again another bounce off of yesterday's lows, not bad. In fact, a bounce back above the 10 symbol right here does make me look at this as yet again another higher low, and I would be looking for a short-term move back up to about 14,000 bucks. Looking at the 4-hour right here, yep, looking good on that one as well. And we do have a pretty damn obvious range, and I would even be looking for new all-time highs if this level. I guess I already have that in right there. It's basically 14,000 bucks anyways. And what we can do over here is we can move this one down over to our last local low, and that's going to be 13,750, or let's just call it 13,725 region. As technically that is more correct. And right now, I would be looking for a little bit of upside here. I don't know if we actually have any major earnings today. I know that we do have several next week for a lot of the big techs, but for right now, Nasdaq looking decent around its prior all-time high. I would get short-term bearish with any sort of a closure or even a move below 13,720. If that were to happen, I would be looking for moves. I would be looking for extensions all the way back down to about 13.5-ish region, and very likely a bounce there. Long-term, however, I do still like this chart. The question to me is long-term based off the weekly. Do we see another move down to about 13,300-ish first, or do we see continuation of new all-time highs from here? I do think that is going to test the prior all-time high on the short-term timeframes here, but I wouldn't necessarily be willing to call a breakout to the all-time high, or sorry, to new all-time highs with those targeted regions in mind that we've been speaking about for ages now, at about 14,250, I think it was, and then also 15,000 bucks long-term. But that would be meted by this area to the upside right here, 14,000 bucks, pretty damn simple stuff. And with the way that 4-hour TSI is kind of shaping up right now, it certainly could do that, as we do see 4-hour TSI turn up alongside 4-hour RSI actually reject the bearish controls. And so I actually do like that, at least for a short-term move to the upside, test around this region, and then hold your breath if you are Bula-ish. Looking at SPY futures, what do we see? Same thing. I'd be looking for a move back up to about 41.69. And in fact, if this one even takes out, I'm guessing this is yesterday's high. Yes, it is yesterday's high. Hey, no, turn that shit off. Sorry, I talked to my girlfriend. But in this case, this one's actually looking a little bit stronger here, as if we did take out yesterday's high, I would be looking for extension to basically the prior all-time high 41.75, and very likely continuation on this one. We already see that 4-hour TSI signal pretty much populating itself right at the bullish buy zone, or sorry, right above the bullish buy zone. So I do like that. And on top of that, we do see 4-hour RSI rejecting the bearish control zone. All these signatures right here do suggest that this one's not just going to test the prior all-time high, but very likely make new all-time highs. And I'd still be having the same sort of targets that we've been having for a long time here, although yep, there they are. 4190 to the basically 4200 to the upside would be the next big one, and then above there 4300-ish region is going to be a big one, but got to play out the short-term time frames first. And heading into tomorrow's Friday closure, I'm still actually liking this. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing make new all-time highs maybe today or tomorrow. Looking pretty damn good. Dow Jones futures, basically same chart, same chart, same shit basically. If we were to make a downside bias buster for looking for a little bit more downside, that was redundant. That's redundant as fuck. I'll be looking at this area right here, 33,650-ish region. That's where I start to get medium-term bearish once again. But for right now, I mean, this is looking like continuation. I think that we just saw yet again another dip. Okay, so all of that, all of the things that we've spoken about thus far have been mostly bullish. I'm going to bring you over to Bitcoin now, and Bitcoin is very interesting to me right now because this is a traditionally really shitty pattern right here. While I'm not a huge pattern trader, I do like triangles. Triangles are good because they seem to work out quite often especially for Bitcoin when they're in the same when they're in the same side of the higher term time frame trend. They do seem to have a little bit north of 70% probability to actually play out in that direction. Granted, it's like 4-hour higher. Of course, there's there's a lot to say about that. But more importantly, right here, we do have a descending triangle on the lows, which I do not fucking like, because that is a bearish redistribution pattern. Of course, in this case, we do have a very obvious range right here, and to kind of follow up, or actually I should follow up on yesterday's price action first. So yesterday, where were we? We were just testing. Yes. Okay. Where do we start off with this? Either which way, it's been basically a game of support and resistance. That's what I've been saying, right? So yesterday, I believe we were right around here. Is that right? No, yes. Okay, yesterday we were right around here. We said very likely to test the downside support, $54,000, and what do you know? We get $54,000 test right here, and then what do we say after that? Well, range is still very likely going, and with that in mind, probably going to bounce back up, albeit within a lower high structure, and that would have a target just around $56,000. Looks like we hit that one yesterday as well. That TA bullshitted at it again, but now after hitting the topside resistance once again, a rejection, and what do? We test the bottom side of this support, and thus far having a okay bounce off of it. However, if you are looking at this on a 4-hour, is this already broken? I would say that this is very much concerning right here. There's a lot of very concerning things here on a 4-hour. Is it technically broken? If you want to be as conservative as possible, no. But I'm going to show you some things right now that make me very concerned with this. First and foremost, again, a descending triangle, which will have a measure move all the way down to about $49,000 if it does, fully resolve. In this case right here, if you want to be waiting for a closure below 53,400 or 53,500, fair enough. I suppose that's kind of holding your breath a little bit more. And to put in perspective, looking at all the other major markets, we do see strong correlations between all of these major markets. So it is a little bit of a bad decision, historically speaking, to be bearish on Bitcoin, for example, while being simultaneously bullish on traditional markets. And of course, some like Ethereum, which they typically trade together anyways. But for right now, if I did have to look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is showing a lot more bearish things here, to be fair. However, there is one more thing there is a shining spot to the upside here too, in the sense that, not just in correlation to other markets, but also, with respect to what we spoke about yesterday. Remember how we could move the topside resolution point down from about 57,500 from yesterday to the next local high right around 56,500. Well, we can do that once again to this next local high right here that Bitcoin seemed to put in when I was sleeping at $56,000 essentially. So as long as Bitcoin's below there, it is pressure down on the short-term timeframes. Yes, that also would imply the same thing to the other side, meaning that if Bitcoin does take it out to the upside, again 56,250 to be exact, I would be looking at that as an early warning signal that this one's going to continue to play out to the medium-term time frame range, at the very least test 57.5, and very likely actually just pop all the way back up and test $60,000 and fulfill the CME gap from last Friday. In fact, looking at CME right here, I would say that this would be a little bit more on the hopium side, if you will. Yeah, I wouldn't say bullish side, but hopium side, right? As we haven't broken structure here either. And technically speaking, on the other chart that the spot charts that I was just looking at, we haven't broken it either as well. But on CME, it's a lot more obvious, and this one does look actually like it wants to pop up a little bit more here. However, going back to spot price action, I do think that it would be irresponsible to not express a lot of concern with what's going on right now. Okay, so first and foremost, we do have descending triangle. Second, we do have obviously hidden bearish evidence right there, but that's already played out. Or at least the move that I look for in order to play that out has already played that out. I just look for a move to the bottom side of the range in this case, and we've already got that. Now, the next biggest thing, and this one's actually rather concerning because we haven't seen this in a very long time, is we actually do have a 4-hour death cross inbound here, and it will inevitably happen as long as Bitcoin closes. If Bitcoin closes next 4-hour delta below $62,000, obviously that's going to change on the next one after that. So it's probably not going to happen on this next one, but on the one after that, this is going to come up. And if you want, by the way, if you want this indicator, you can just type in caretaker moving average crossover levels, and it will have it there for you, and you can calculate those levels yourself in real time. But looking at this right here, I would express that yes, probably not on this current one, but on the next one or the one after that. So sometime this day, it will very likely have a chance to actually fully and formally do it. Would this be an example of a perfect cross right here? No, not necessarily, but it would be an example of a decent one, as we do see, as well, essentially a lower high structure, and well within the context of a bearish redistribution pattern as well. Doesn't mean it's always going to break down to the downside, but it does have a higher probability to do that. Anyways, if we go over here to to our secondary charts, I also want to call out this as well. Daily on Bitcoin. Okay, first off, DMI minus signal is dominant. ADX is strengthening. This is what we spoke about yesterday as being a little bit concerning. And when I say a little bit concerning, I mean it's actually pretty fucking concerning. On top of that, we have this right here too, the green 55 exponential average. This has actually been broken for the first time since October, I believe. Yes, and this is a little bit concerning because anytime that Bitcoin has broken this within the context of a bullish market, I'll just show you what happened the last time. So this was 2019, where Bitcoin broke out from about $4,000 to $14,000. It kind of tested the 55, a few times along the way, but you can see over here, the first time it actually fully and formally breaks it, yes, a few more failed rallies were put in, but ultimately it does break down. It does show that the momentum is waning over time. If we go back to 2015 to 2017 over here, you can see that Bitcoin actually broke it several times to the upside, but it was always risk on, pressure down anytime that Bitcoin closed that first daily dodo below. So I'm talking about this area right here, this area right here, this area right here, this area right here, and then the final one over here, to be fair. So what I mean by that, or the relevancy of this, is that it's a big warning signal. And while I actually do think that Bitcoin will again make new all-time highs, probably even within these next few months here, I do think that with the advent of what happened last night, it is pressure on right now. And technically speaking, if Bitcoin wanted to dump out, another $10,000 here, it really would not be, well, too out of character, to be honest with you. And $45,000 would still be one of my major targets, with an area of interest along the way, just around $49,000 we identified it earlier. Could it potentially reverse there too? Potentially, yes, but I don't want to see like a confirmed reversal before that. And realistically, there is starting to mount more and more pressure to the downside. So daily Stokes are coming down as well. We do see that this one has actually put in some nice lows around this area right here, but obviously that would imply that it has a little bit more downside, of course. And if we go down to the 12-hour, this must have been on CME yesterday. Yeah, so this chart actually has nothing for us, but it must have been on CME. Yeah, this one has actually broken the same level. That's been kind of catching all the lows since September 2020. If you can look at it right here. So we actually have made a lower low on that, which is rather concerning. This is on CME 12-hour, by the way. Let's see what the daily looks like. Daily is actually coming in line with this area right here, but I'm inclined to say that, well, it's basically either Bitcoin reverses right here, right now in the short-term timeframes, or we do play at that downside move. Obviously, that is why people hate technical analysis, because it's like it could go up or down. Well, that's why we have the areas of execution, but I do understand that people are going to be not so happy with that. Anyways, I already missed my 20-minute target here, but looking at the daily for CME, I would say that CME is still showing some signs of life. So if I did want to present a more bullish view of this, I'd be looking at CME, and I do believe that that's actually more appropriate. CME is just more often correct. But with all of that said, I think the ranges for Bitcoin, once again over here, are pretty damn well documented on spot price action. Again, 56,250 to the upside versus basically 53.5 to the downside. You might even already look at the downside as already broken, as it did break $54,000 on the last closure, and also 12-hour decline to close on. No, we actually did not close new lows on the 12-hour. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's not as bad then. Yeah, that's not as bad then. You know what? I take back what I said earlier. If we go over here to CME, does it look the same? More or less the same, yeah. So you know what? I'd still give the nod to CME here, and I would favor all of the other major markets that we just looked at. So if I did have to call it, do I think that Bitcoin puts in another bounce here? Yes, I do think Bitcoin puts in another bounce here, but I will be extremely fast to switch around to being short-term, medium-term bearish. Again, if Bitcoin breaks this current level right here, and again, $49,000 is where I'd be looking towards. Very likely a bounce there, and potential continuation of their $4,000, $5,000 lower to $45,000. But for right now, if I want to have more of a optimistic view, I'm actually mostly looking at Ethereum. So with that said, I do want to wish you the best and the happiest. Once again, I'll be back on later, very likely with another live stream analysis. Take care and see you soon.